Hello there. So, I found a video called The Craziest Conspiracy Theories That Turned Out True by Visual Venture. I may have seen one of these guys' videos before, I'm not sure, but I had to watch it because, you know me, I had to watch this. Like, this was a no-brainer. Here we go.
A top-secret military program recruited people with impossible abilities. A scientist discovered something toxic in a product used by millions of Americans. People who suspected these things were just laughed at. Then the truth was revealed. These are insane conspiracy theories that turned out true. Part 2. Make sure you guys watch the full video because I'm going to link part 1 at the end. But you don't have to watch it in any particular order. It would mean the world if you guys subscribe, and I will do the best that I can to put out the best videos I possibly can for you. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome. The psychic spy conspiracy. Most wars are won with weapons, soldiers, and strategy. But in the 1970s, the US military tried to use human superpowers to fight a war. They secretly recruited psychics and...
That's so sick. I'm so glad we did this. I mean, dude, at least try, like, yeah, sure, you probably won't succeed at making human superheroes and everything, but at least try to be bought,
Fortune tellers. People who heard the rumors didn't believe it, but years later, declassified documents revealed everything. Here's how it started. In the early 1970s, the CIA was worried about the Soviet Union. Reports claimed the Soviets were spending millions of dollars studying psychic powers. They wanted to build a team of psychics that could see what Americans were doing from hundreds of miles away. The idea sounded impossible, but the US government couldn't ignore even the smallest threat, so the CIA also quietly launched its own psychic research program. It was called the Stargate Project. They started recruiting Americans who claimed they had psychic abilities. The most promising candidates were brought to a secret location in Maryland. Their first task was simple. They needed to prove that they were really psychic. Each candidate was locked in a room and given a series of tests. In one test...
Dude, what if you just guessed right? That would be crazy.
A researcher secretly looked at a picture. The psychic then had to read the researcher's mind and draw whatever image they were thinking about.
On the left side of the page, you see the original target, and on the right, Geller's response.
When the drawings were compared to the original images, they claimed that some were surprisingly close.
In fact, this is the most off-target of the drawings that he did.
Some candidates passed the tests.
That is pretty close.
For the first psychic spy mission. The psychics were given the coordinates of specific locations. Then they were asked to describe what was happening there. They called it remote viewing. Once they started talking, the researchers were stunned. It seemed that a lot of their information was quite accurate.
What?
We were finding information that saved lives that couldn't be found.
I just feel like I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. I need some actual evidence.
Found in any other way, not even through spy-in-the-sky satellites or ground agents.
Some psychics could reportedly see into Soviet military bases. Their descriptions were incredibly detailed. No one could explain how they were supernaturally seeing these things, but those running the program were satisfied. Over the years, more than 20 psychics were employed. They took part in high-level intelligence missions, but the entire program stayed top secret. Then in 1979, Project Stargate was given its biggest challenge. That year, a Soviet plane crashed somewhere in the jungles of Central Africa. The aircraft was full of secret codes and valuable technology. Americans wanted to find it before the Soviets did. Recovering it would give the US a huge advantage in the war. For weeks, US satellites scanned the area, but the jungle was so thick they found nothing. The clock was running out. The US was desperate, so they turned to Project Stargate for help. For this mission, they chose a psychic named Rosemary Smith. Rosemary was handed a map of Africa and asked to...
That's gotta be a fake name. I do not believe that her name was Rosemary Smith.
Find the fallen plane. They gave her no other information. According to those in the room, Rosemary went into a trance. After a few minutes, she pointed to a spot on the map. Then she gave them exact coordinates. When the military focused its satellite cameras on that location, they found the plane, right where she said it would be. The US government was impressed, but there was no public celebration. The military wanted the psychic program to remain secret. Then someone opened their mouth and ruined everything. Somehow, an investigative reporter named Jack Anderson found out about Project Project Stargate. So he published a series of articles exposing it. He revealed how the psychics supposedly helped locate enemy submarines and planes. He also claimed they helped catch a spy. The news spread across the country, but instead of panic or outrage, people just laughed it off. The public simply didn't believe it. The government also denied everything. The Department of Defense claimed no money was spent for ESP or whatever sort of label you want to put on those programs. The story was treated like a conspiracy theory. Eventually, it was forgotten. Then,
see, I can believe that they paid for it. I just can't believe that they got results. That's harder for me to believe.
in 1995, the truth finally came out. Some CIA documents were declassified, and they confirmed that the Stargate project was real. The CIA even admitted it. Not long after that, the program was shut down. The reason surprised people.
As an American, that doesn't even surprise me at all. That the CIA did that. That literally doesn't surprise me even a little bit.
The government claimed the psychics were unreliable. In other words, it seemed their information was wrong most of the time. The program turned out to be true. But the question is, did these psychics just get lucky? This next chapter is about a theory that the government was actually killing thousands of its own citizens purposely. The poisoned alcohol conspiracy.
Okay.
In the 1920s, a terrifying conspiracy theory spread across America. A doctor claimed the government was poisoning alcohol to kill citizens.
Well, wasn't this when alcohol was illegal as well? It was during the Prohibition.
What if that was true? The question is...
Wait a minute. So if they were doing this during the Prohibition, what would be stopping them from doing that to other illegal drugs on the street right now and making them far more dangerous than they need to be?
Why? In 1920, the United States government banned the sale and production of alcohol. The law became known as Prohibition. Lawmakers believed alcohol was destroying American society. They thought banning it would reduce crime, improve families, and clean up the country.
If they could...
Okay, this has, before I've even gotten into this one, this has immediately convinced me that the drug crisis that's happening in America right now, the different drug crises that are happening, are fucking exacerbated by the government on purpose. I just immediately think that right out of the gate. They're making the drugs more deadly, they're making the drugs more addictive, and they're doing it on purpose. Why? Who knows? But we know that they did this. We know that they poisoned this. And didn't they like also hand out crack? Like, didn't they created the crack epidemic, and that is a fact? Like, I'm pretty sure, allegedly. We'll find out if that's a fact or not, I'm sure.
ban it, all of America's problems would definitely, 100%, without a doubt, be completely and totally solved.
Police raided warehouses and smashed barrels of alcohol. But almost immediately, the law failed. People didn't stop drinking. They just started drinking in secret.
Yeah.
Almost overnight, a whole underground economy sprang up dedicated to smuggling and selling alcohol. If anything,
This guy exists on every YouTube channel. He just exists in the YouTube ether.
alcohol consumption became more widespread as people sought to outwit the law.
Bootleggers needed huge amounts of alcohol to keep up with demand, so they came up with a dangerous idea. They would turn industrial alcohol into drinking alcohol. Industrial alcohol was used in paint, cleaning products, and medical supplies. It was never meant to be consumed because it contained harmful chemicals, but that didn't stop them. Some people filtered industrial alcohol, bottled it, and secretly sold it in bars. As demand grew, thieves started breaking into factories. They stole entire barrels of industrial alcohol and pushed it into the black market. The government knew this was happening, but they couldn't stop the theft. So they decided to make the stolen alcohol undrinkable. The government sent a secret order to industrial alcohol makers. They told them to add deadly poisons to every batch.
But why not just make that known? This is my question. This is what makes it go from being some like weird conspiracy thing, like, or being some like protective measure against theft or whatever, to being a weird conspiracy thing. Because why did they not tell the people that it was poison?
There was already some methanol in most.
Because they could have said that. They say that with air duster. They say they put detergent in it to stop people from huffing that shit. So, like, they could just come out and tell you. They don't need to make it a secret.
Industrial alcohol formulations, but the government added more, a lot more, to the point where it was sometimes 10% of the entire product.
People kept stealing industrial alcohol from factories, only now it was poison, and they had no idea. It was bottled and sold across the country. Before long, there was a national disaster. On Christmas Eve, 1926, 60 people were rushed to the hospital. They all drank toxic holiday liquor. 8 of them passed away before Christmas morning, and the crisis only got worse. The poisoned alcohol was everywhere. In New York City alone, over 1,200 people became seriously sick. Around 400 of them passed away.
Victims would fall into a coma, and death often followed.
And let me
The
guess,
lucky
no
ones,
one ever
if
took
you could call them
accountability.
that, would lose their sight, but at least they'd survive.
No one knew what was causing this sudden medical crisis, but one doctor was determined to figure it out. Charles Norris was the chief medical examiner of New York City. He watched these bodies pile up, and he figured out what was happening. He noticed that the victims all had one thing in common. They had been drinking. So the poison likely came from alcohol. But bootleggers wanted repeat customers. They wouldn't poison loyal buyers. So if bootleggers were not doing it on purpose, who was? To Norris, the answer was obvious. Norris called a press conference. Then he accused the government of poisoning alcohol.
But it wasn't a virulent flu or poorly chosen mushrooms that caused their deaths. It was alcohol that had been poisoned by the US government, which sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's the truth.
Norris called it a national experiment
So what's stopping them from doing that from illegal drugs today?
in extermination. He also
Nothing.
said the government must be held responsible for the deaths that poisoned liquor causes. Almost immediately, the government dismissed it as a conspiracy theory, but a few people believed it. It became a debate. Those who supported prohibition said alcohol was illegal, so anyone who drank it was breaking the law and deserved whatever happened. Others could not believe their own government would poison citizens.
And look, that's a fair... I will say that's a fair point to take. Like, if you want to stand on that, if you want to stand on that business, go ahead. But, you know, like, I just feel like we could at least make it obvious, you know? We don't need to make it a secret. Be like, yeah, we like, the government could be like, yeah, we poisoned it all. Like, you're not supposed to drink it. Don't drink it. It's poisoned now. We poisoned it on purpose. Like, they could just say that. They don't need to keep it. The part that's fucked up is them keeping it a secret. That's what makes it seem like they were purposefully poisoning the drug addicts of the time, which were the alcoholics. Instead of trying to deter them, they were trying to kill them.
The idea sounded too extreme. Norris needed undeniable proof, and he knew exactly how to get it. Norris contacted Alexander Gettler. Gettler was the chief toxicologist for New York City. Gettler analyzed the bodies arriving at the morgue. Then he carefully tested samples taken from confiscated alcohol. The alcohol contained massive amounts of methanol, also known as wood alcohol. Consuming methanol would destroy the nervous system and cause blindness, and it could end lives slowly and painfully. Now, Norris and Gettler had proof of the government's poisoning program. They published their findings. Newspapers across the country reported the story. The public was outraged. The conspiracy theory was true all along. But even after the evidence came out, the poisoning program did not stop. Incredibly, the government admitted it and even doubled down on it.
All right, you know what? I just wish they would have started that way. I honestly, I just wish they would have started that way. That's what makes it fucked up.
Officials announced they would add even more toxic chemicals like benzene. They wanted the fear of death to scare Americans into obeying prohibition laws. But it didn't work. People still kept drinking, and many of them didn't survive. In December 1933, prohibition officially came to an end. Alcohol was no longer illegal. It was estimated that about 10,000 Americans passed away from these poison drinks. The whole program worked because people trusted what they were given. Nobody even questioned what was actually inside. The government counted on that. And cell phone companies have been doing that same thing for years. They show you one price, but hide the fees in the fine print. So when you get the bill, it's much higher than you expect. But Mint Mobile, the sponsor of today's video, said, we're gonna be honest. Just tell people the actual price. And you don't have to sacrifice quality to get it. Because every plan includes unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network, plus free calling to Mexico, Canada, and
Dude, you'd have to pay me a lot of money to put a
switching
bacon
carriers
in.
is a massive headache. It's actually super simple. You can activate a new plan
But I watch his, I'm watching his video.
from the comfort of your couch. Plus, you can keep your same phone number and all of your existing contacts. It might sound too good to be true, but here's why they can do this. Mint Mobile brought the bulk buying concept to wireless. Basically, the more months you buy up front, the more you save. Mint lets you choose the data amount that's right for you, 5, 15, 20, or unlimited gigabytes. So you're paying for
everybody
only
does
what
that.
you actually need, not for some plan that doesn't fit
Every
you.
prepaid
And if you have any
thing does
issues,
that.
Mint's customer support has a 96% satisfaction rate, which is pretty impressive, and a 7-day unconditional money-back guarantee. My friends, use my QR code or link below to stop overpaying for wireless, just because that's how it's always been. With premium plans starting at just $15 a month, Mint helps you break the traditional wireless cycle. This next conspiracy involves a
Premium
plot to
plans.
assassinate.
By the way, I have a couple of friends who have used Mint Mobile because they just, didn't have the money at the time. Bad. Not good. Horrible service. Could never get service anywhere. Always dropping calls. Sounded like ass. I mean, no. You don't want... No. Unless they've seriously upgraded in the past year, nah, it ain't it.
Assassinate a world leader, and it failed because of one stupid mistake. The Mafia hit conspiracy. In the late 1960s, an investigative journalist made a shocking claim. He said the CIA hired American mafia to assassinate a world leader. The idea of the CIA working with gangsters...
I know about this one, to kill Fidel Castro.
Possible. Then the evidence started coming out, and people realized it was far worse than they thought. In 1959, a revolutionary named Fidel Castro took power in Cuba.
Havana's ovation for Fidel Castro himself had been long deferred. These scenes show his triumphal march across the island to the capital following the victory.
The US government hated what Castro stood for. They wanted him gone. But Castro was heavily guarded. He already survived multiple assassination attempts. If the CIA wanted to reach Castro...
And dude kept surviving them. I mean, America didn't stop trying to kill this dude. America tried again and again and again and again and just failed over and over. This dude could not be killed.
Castro, they needed something he would never expect. They felt like they needed a gangster-type action, so the CIA reached out to the American mafia. Luckily for them, the mafia had its own reason to hate Castro. Before Castro took power, the mob controlled the many casinos in Cuba. They made millions of dollars, but when Castro took over, he shut down the casinos and kicked the mob out. The mafia lost a fortune, so the CIA and the mafia had a common enemy.
And that's how you know that the CIA is not on your side. That's how you know it.
They joined forces to destroy him. A CIA agent had a meeting with a Las Vegas mobster. The offer was simple. The CIA would pay the mafia $150,000 to eliminate Castro. But the mafia hated Castro so much that they insisted on taking the job for free. Later that year, the CIA and mafia secretly met again. This time, they discussed exactly how they would do it. The CIA wanted to use a firearm, but Castro was heavily guarded at all times. No gunman could get close enough to pull the trigger and escape. So the mafia suggested a quieter solution. They would use some type of potent pill that could be placed in Castro's food or drink. The CIA agreed. They returned to the lab to create the poison. Soon, they developed 6 pills filled with lethal toxins. Once they were slipped into Castro's drink, the pills would dissolve instantly, and they worked very fast. Castro's demise would look like a sudden natural illness. The CIA handed the pills over to the mafia. The mafia passed them to a Cuban official with access to Castro's food. The plan was in motion. The Cuban official placed the pills inside a freezer for safekeeping. He picked a time and day. All he had to do was slip the pills into Castro's chocolate milkshake. But at the last minute, the man chosen for the job made a stupid mistake.
When the would-be assassin went to retrieve the poisoned capsule from the freezer where he had hidden it, he found it frozen to the wall. His attempts to free the capsule caused it to rupture, scuppering the assassination attempts.
The pills were ruined. With no poison left to use, he called off the mission. After that, the mafia searched for someone else who could get close to Castro's food, but every plan failed before it could happen. In 1961, the assassination plan was officially abandoned. The CIA and mafia quietly went their separate ways. They believed the secret would be...
Which also lets you know that they knew where the mafia was, they knew who they were, and they knew what they were doing. They could have taken them down at any time, and instead they gave them carte blanche to do whatever they wanted.
Buried forever, but it didn't. Years later, an investigative journalist learned about the operation, and he published an expose in the newspaper. The CIA denied everything, but the truth was going to come out one way or another. In 1975, the CIA was accused of carrying out...
Dog, I fully believe that if you're a government official and you're found out to have done some shit like this, you're found out to have done something treasonous, like work with the mafia as a government official or anything like that, you should spend the rest of your life in prison. Every single person who is involved should, and I mean every person from the top down, should spend the rest of their life in prison. I fully mean that. Doing forced labor for the American people. If you're a government official and you're doing this shit, fuck that. What up, Remy?
Illegal activities. So the government set up a committee to investigate.
The United States must not adopt the tactics of the enemy. Means are as important as ends.
The investigation uncovered files that confirmed the CIA worked with the mafia. The story became front-page news. According to the files, the CIA met with 2 mob bosses during the negotiations. One was Chicago mob boss Sam Giancana. The other was Las Vegas mobster Johnny Rosselli. The committee called Sam Giancana to testify, but he never made it to the hearing. On June 19th, 1975, just days before his testimony, Giancana was found lifeless.
Yeah, wow. What a shocker. What a fucking surprise that is. Everyone who ever was going to tell on the CIA just magically ended up dead before they could. That's so crazy, dude. What a coincidence. Oh my god.
In his home in Illinois. The timing was incredibly suspicious, but the committee moved on to its next witness, Johnny Rosselli. Thankfully, Rosselli managed to testify.
Rosselli was fully cooperative.
Wow.
For 2.5 hours, he told of plotting with the CIA.
Did he die directly after?
Starting in 1960 to try to kill Castro.
He told them about the meetings and the poison pills, everything. But speaking out was a fatal mistake. Shortly after his testimony, Rosselli disappeared. He was later found lifeless, floating off the coast of Florida. The truth was already out. Everyone knew the CIA secretly partnered with the mafia. Decades later, in 2007, more CIA documents were declassified. The files laid out the operation piece by piece. In our next chapter, a group of researchers ran a routine test and accidentally uncovered one of the biggest scandals in history: the toxic car conspiracy.
What is
Volkswagen
this?
looked like a company helping the planet. They claimed their cars released low emissions, making them better for the environment. Customers believed the message, but some researchers suspected it was all a lie. They believed Volkswagen cars were destroying the environment by releasing far more pollution than the company admitted.
Dude, I'm just so sick of this whole fucking bullshit, dude. Let me have my badass car again. I don't care. Dog, you think that, like, if all Americans just drove a Prius, then the Earth is gonna be saved. Yeah, and that's gonna save every other country who's fucking blasting coal smoke into the air and throwing all their trash into the river, into the ocean, and fucking ruptured pipelines of oil that still happen in the ocean that even we are fault at. Like, no, it's not gonna ever. Like, one country doing this is not gonna work. I'm just sick of it. I just want my cool cars back. I'm sick of it.
They spoke up, nobody listened, so they went looking for proof. In 2013, a group of researchers decided to test Volkswagen's diesel cars. Volkswagen marketed those cars as clean diesel vehicles with low emissions. Here's one of their commercials.
If anybody tells you something that is a burning fuel is clean, then they're lying to you. Anytime anybody says clean coal, clean diesel, anything like this, it's a lie, and it's an obvious lie. Anyone with a brain would know that too.
Diesel in Latin means dirty. I'll prove it to you.
No.
You're gonna ruin your scarf. Oh, look what she's doing. See how clean it is?
The researchers took
I bet that shit reeks now.
a Volkswagen Jetta to the lab and started their tests. It was a routine test. They did not expect to find anything strange. In the lab, the results were perfect. The car's emissions were low. Everything looked exactly how Volkswagen said it would. Then, the researchers took the car into the highway. That's when everything went wrong. On the road, the Jetta released emissions up to 40 times the legal limit. That meant it was more toxic than most cars on the road. The researchers were shocked because they tested the same car in the lab. And in the lab, the emissions were low. But on the road, it acted like a completely different car. The researchers double-checked their equipment by testing a BMW. The BMW's emissions stayed the same in the lab and on the road. But every time they tested a Volkswagen, the numbers changed. The cars seemed to lower their emissions in the lab. Then they seemed to raise them again on the road. There was only one explanation. Volkswagen somehow found a way to cheat the emissions test. The researchers dug deeper to understand how how it worked. When they studied the car's software, they found what's known as a defeat device. This device could detect when the car was sitting still on a lab roller. Then it automatically reduced the car's emissions so it would pass the test. But once the car hit the road, it switched to normal mode, and the car released more pollution into the air. The researchers published their findings in May 2014. They accused Volkswagen of cheating emissions tests and lying to consumers. That scandal could have ruined the company. So Volkswagen replied immediately. But instead of admitting the problem, the company blamed the researchers for making mistakes.
They took exception with our testing, with the way we approached it, with the conditions that we used.
Oh, the company actually investigated itself and found that they did no wrongdoing.
For over a year, Volkswagen refused to admit anything was wrong. They insisted that their cars were environmentally friendly, but the researchers refused to back down.
And
hell yeah.
We said, fine, we're going to do it again. And we did it again and came with the same results.
This time they sent the results to the Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA reviewed it carefully. Then the EPA made a massive decision. It refused to approve Volkswagen's 2016 models for sale in the US. The executives at Volkswagen now had a choice: lose their entire American market or confess. On September 3rd, 2015, Volkswagen executives finally admitted the truth. The company installed software on its cars to cheat emissions tests.
Today, the company said
it's not enough for these CEOs to be making way more money than they're worth by, like, massive margins, but they also need to fucking, like, lie and cheat their way to get there. Like, they can't even just steal the fucking... God, I'm, you know, whatever.
Said it would recall 11 million diesel cars worldwide after admitting they had been rigged to cheat emissions tests.
For years, those cars pumped high levels of pollution into the air. And the whole time, Volkswagen claimed it was making clean, low-emission cars.
And they probably got a big-ass fucking tax rebate for it.
It was a global scandal. Volkswagen's CEO issued a public apology.
We are very sorry to have broken your trust. I think what they meant is we're very sorry to have lied to you.
During another
what up, dude?
Their speech, the CEO admitted to lying to authorities.
So let's be clear about this. Our company was dishonest with the EPA
obviously
and the California Air Resources Board.
He eventually resigned. The company pleaded guilty to criminal charges. They paid over $30 billion in fines. It was one of the largest penalties ever handed to a car company. In the end...
Wait, when did that happen? Let's see. 2017. Okay. Let's just pull this up real quick. Let me check something. Volkswagen 2017 total profits. Holy fuck, dude. That alright, so subtracting the amount that they had to pay, they made $13.8 billion that year. They made in revenue $230 billion that year. So this little paltry sum is literally nothing.
It was one of the largest penalties ever handed to a car company. In the end, millions of people learned the truth. The car company they trusted was lying to them. Our next chapter is about a weapon the CIA built that could kill anyone, anywhere, and make it look completely natural. The heart attack conspiracy. For years, people claimed the CIA had a weapon that could
also, it said they didn't even have to pay that all off at once. They paid part of it off that year.
Anyone a heart attack. All they had to do was point and pull the trigger. It was dismissed as a paranoid conspiracy theory. Later, the truth came out in the most shocking way. The heart attack gun was displayed on live TV for the whole world to see. In the early 1970s, the CIA had a problem. They wanted to eliminate people they considered threats, but they needed a method that could not be...
Okay, but the VW company is super big. I mean, that's my point, actually. That's literally my point. They didn't even... So like 1 year of not making profit, of even just breaking even, would not destroy Volkswagen at all, considering they've been making profit for, you know, ever. So like they're sitting on a big stack of excess cash if they weren't absolutely stupid, which they probably were. But you know what I mean. So they have this big stack of cash that they always make, and yet they did this for a year. They fucking lied, and who knows how long it happened beforehand, and they cheated to get their way through, and they still were able to make a large profit that year after paying the fine for lying and cheating for years. That's what I'm saying is crazy to me.
Be traced back to them. However, every option left evidence. A bullet could be traced. Poison could show up during an autopsy. They needed something cleaner. So they turned to a young CIA researcher named Mary Embry. Mary's bosses gave her one assignment.
They wanted me to find
what they lie about, it was diesel emissions. They claimed that the diesel emissions were way lower than they were. And when you tested it in the lab, it was way lower. But then when you drove it on the highway, it was way higher. Yeah.
To find out if there was
no, I mean, fair. I don't actually, like, I think emissions are bullshit for real, personally. I want to get back to muscle cars and cool shit. But, I mean, the thing is, they probably got huge tax breaks from the because Americans are stupid like that. We'll fucking give people tax breaks just for low emission things and green energy and dumb shit like that. And it's not Americans that are stupid. It's a certain subsect of Americans that are stupid. That I'm not gonna name any group or anything, but there are groups of people that are stupid enough to think that you should give less taxes to people who make green energy, even though it's all a fucking lie. That's my problem. That ties into it. We tax more about engine motor, yeah, but we probably give a tax break if it's like I bet that there was, because they said it's under this amount of emissions. I guarantee you the government said we're gonna give you a tax break for that. Because dude, we don't even charge Amazon taxes at all. Amazon, the largest fucking company ever, doesn't get charged taxes because of their infrastructure and the jobs they create, I guess. I don't know. It's crazy. So if the engine has 5,000, they have to pay. Word.
As a poison that was undetectable, especially one that seemed to mimic a heart attack.
They wanted a poison that left no trace. Even during an autopsy, Mary got to work. She tested dozens of toxins. Eventually, she found what she was looking for: shellfish toxin.
Harmony. They just say no to paying taxes here, which is wild. Yeah, they don't pay taxes here either. And they don't have to. We just told them, you don't have to. And then they were like, oh yeah, also make the taxpayers buy our buildings. And they were like, yeah, we can do that. That's cool. And then all the AI companies came in and they went, hey, can you make them build our buildings too? And also build extra power plants and also have to pay for the electricity to these AI? And they were like, yeah, we can do that. It's like, what the fuck is happening here? Jesus. Damn, 75 stream streak. Yeah, it's crazy. Corporate global economies are bullshit. This is why I don't think that economies should be globalized. Like, I know you can make millions of profits and all of that, but the only thing that I think should be globalized in that way is entertainment. Entertainment or information in that way should be globalized. But like these giant corporations that are just fucking everywhere, it's horrible. I hate it. I don't know a solution to it, to be honest. Like, because without this giant corporation of Amazon that doesn't pay any taxes, I mean, how would Twitch even exist? How would I be doing this? Because Twitch takes a loss. Twitch does not make money, and there's no way.
In concentrated doses, it could shut down the human heart. And even better for the CIA, it could disappear from the body. The CIA took Mary's discovery and built a weapon around it. They froze the toxin into a tiny dart made of ice. Then they loaded that dart into a modified pistol. The gun made almost no sound.
Oh yeah, and so when it hits them, it melts and the poison injects into them. So there's no sign of a dart.
When the dart hit someone, it felt like an
How's Twitch work on a loss? There's actually, well, I can't remember what the website's called actually, but there's a website that shows you how much it costs per hour for your stream, depending on how many viewers you have. And There was an Asmongold video back in the day where he did that, and it was like millions of dollars that it had cost them, and he doesn't run ads, and he doesn't have subscriptions because he makes his money from YouTube and shit, so, yeah. And he's big enough to be able to do that, which is crazy. He can just do that. But yeah, he was costing them like millions of dollars, and that's just one guy. Apparently, for like smaller Twitch streamers, you know, it accounts in the ad revenue you would make if you were running ads versus it, and it's still like thousands of dollars per Twitch streamer. And then it depends on how high of a bit rate you have running, because the higher bit rate will cost them more money too. I'm sure they pay less for it because it's Amazon Web Services that runs Twitch, but you know, still not cheap.
Insect bite. Most people would ignore that sensation, but inside the body, the damage would start instantly. The dart would melt, releasing the shellfish toxin into the bloodstream. The victim would experience a massive heart attack, and that would be the end. When doctors performed an autopsy, they would find no strange substances, just a tiny red dot where the dart entered the skin. Nobody would think much of it. The death would be listed as natural causes. The CIA now had an untraceable weapon, and they could take out anyone they wanted. It's not clear how many times the heart attack gun was used, but one thing is certain. The CIA stockpiled large amounts of shellfish toxins and hid them in a lab. The shellfish toxin was the untraceable poison used.
Dog, and I'm allergic to shellfish, so when the government inevitably takes me out for getting too famous and against them, they're gonna shoot me with this gun and kill me.
In the gun. Over the years, things changed. In the mid-1970s, the CIA came under investigation. Congress heard reports that the agency was involved in illegal activities, so they formed a committee to investigate the CIA. Senator Frank Church led the probe. He and his team found a stockpile of weapons and toxins inside CIA labs and warehouses. One of those weapons was the heart attack gun. Eventually, the CIA
No, dude, no, you know what would be funny is if I did just die of a natural heart attack, though, because that's how I'm gonna die, guys. If I die of a heart attack, it's not natural. There's no way, even though I have a family history of heart problems, like going way back generations, there's no way that it's a heart attack. It was these guys, okay? Just remember that.
A director was invited before a congressional committee to answer questions. The hearing was broadcast on live TV. During the questioning, the pistol was held up for the—
I'm immortal, they can try. Yeah, dude, I've been around since the beginning of time, too, dude. I've been there, done that, seen it. Adam, Eve, yeah, they were cool when they were younger, you know. They just, you know, they were stupid. But thinking they were the first was crazy, dude, because there was people way before them, dude. There was John and Paul and Guaglar and Cragamuffin, you know, all those people. Dude, I remember the Titans.
The entire country to see. The CIA director was asked about the weapon.
Does this pistol fire?
I haven't been sleeping much, you guys.
The dart?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman, and a special one was developed.
The country was shocked, and conspiracy theories were thrilled. There it was, proof that the CIA developed an illegal, untraceable assassination weapon. But one question has never been answered. Was it ever actually used successfully? The CIA never said, and they likely—
Relatable, I was sailing till 1 in the morning, then up again at 5. Dude, I wish I could have just been sailing all day. It was crazy, dude. I had to go to work. Dude, I hate that I had to go get a job to fucking go keep my life not from, what am I trying to say? So that I cannot be poor. Dude, one of these days, dude, I'm not gonna need a job. I mean, right now, it's a fucking, like, 30 hours a week. So that's as far as I'm going with it. I'm not doing more than 30 hours. This is still my focus. I joined a guild I forgot to mention. Hell yeah. Yeah, the dream is to do this. The dream is to do Twitch and YouTube, and then to move on from that to start making my movie and the TV show and the book that I want to really, like, flesh out. The anime, I should say, not a TV show. It's a trade guild. We're making monopolies. Hell yeah, dude. That's the way to do it. Oh, shit. I'm hyped. I'm going to have to hop in on this. I'm going to have to slide in there like a little Grima worm tongue, you know?
Never will. Our next chapter raises a question. How much of what the news tells you is actually true? The CIA news conspiracy. The news is supposed to tell the truth, but people believe the government was secretly controlling the news that people heard. And they believe that certain journalists were actually government agents hired to push certain narratives
I could see this.
and bury others. The government called it a
Actually, I think that this is probably happening on YouTube now more than TV.
Theory, but evidence began to show. It started with a student organization. In February 1967, it was revealed that the largest student group in the US was funded and run by the CIA. On the surface, the group looked independent. It presented itself as a friendly voice for young...
Government control the news? No, why would you think? Yeah. Why would you think? No. That's why. Like, yeah, no, dude, there's no way. There's no way the government controls the news, dude. That, like, no, no, I'm kidding, dude. It would be crazy to not think that. It would be crazy to think that the government isn't trying to control what you think, and it'd be crazy to think that the government isn't out there killing people. I mean, the government was supposed to be made to work for the people in America, at least, and that is just not the way it is anymore. Not at all. They work for themselves.
Americans. But behind the scenes, the CIA was quietly paying it to spread government propaganda to students. The agency also used students as spies.
It works,
They were told to
yeah,
collect
true.
information from foreigners
True.
and pass it back to the CIA. The New York Times put the story on the front page. This revelation encouraged reporters to dig deeper. They wanted to find all the ways the CIA
keep
was
power at any
secretly
cost.
influencing
Yep.
the public.
Make themselves
and then
more
they
powerful.
stumbled onto
True.
something much bigger than they expected. In 1975, the New York Times suspected that some news reporters were secretly working with the CIA. When they investigated, they found out they were right. They discovered the
What
CIA
a
had
twist.
a network of journalists inside major American newspapers and TV networks. The head of the CIA was called before Congress to answer for it. He admitted part of it was true.
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Some journalists also admitted that the CIA contacted them to spread certain stories.
We had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole News and Public Affairs operation in 1954, the ships had been established.
Congress identified over 50 active journalists on the CIA payroll, but the actual number was much larger. In 1977, another investigation revealed that over 400 American journalists carried out assignments for the CIA over a period of 25 years. These weren't small-time writers. They were evening news anchors, award-winning reporters, and Pulitzer Prize winners.
Name some.
People who ordinary Americans trusted deeply.
Name
CIA
some.
documents also revealed the agency could plant
Like, why, dude, name at least a couple of them.
fake stories in foreign...
Give me some examples, god damn it! Fuck! That's why I'm central. I lean towards whoever isn't in power to keep the balance, although these days they're likely all working together anyways. That's where I'm at, actually. I don't think that there's any politician who's actually working for the people. And the few people who finally decide they have had enough of it, and they start working for the people, immediately get ousted by the group, you know? They immediately get replaced. It actually happened, so, I mean, and I don't even want to get super political at all, but it did, the most money ever spent on a congressional race happened in Kentucky. And I'm talking of all time, the biggest money ever spent on one congressional seat of all time. And it was for a dude who voted to release the Epstein files. It was to get him out, and they succeeded. So, like, you know, it's obviously just one big farce. One big fucking joke, you know? Yeah, the Green Party here is the closest, but they're kind of wacky. Dog, I don't even know about Britain. I mean, I have my own opinion about what party I would go with, but I'm not a British person, so I'm not gonna put in my 2 cents because it doesn't matter, you know? Like, I can appreciate your guys' sovereignty, you know what I mean? And your guys' right to pick your own way. And honestly, I don't know what is actually happening, ever. So it's kind of hard to, you know, really tell, but...
in newspapers, and those same stories could be picked up by American media and reported it as real news.
This would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country.
The CIA was essentially writing the news. It was such a big scandal that the president got involved. In 1977, a presidential order banned the CIA from using journalists.
I mean, now that we're on the topic of UK politics just a little bit, I did hear Keir Starmer just resigned. I don't know if that's true, but I saw I didn't even hear it. I saw a thumbnail of it, I should say. Facebook saw it. You know, I wasn't on Facebook. I don't have a Facebook, but you know what I mean. I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw a thumbnail that said, Keir resigned. I don't like me with America. I know which way I vote, but it's none of my business. I don't follow it closely enough to actually know. That's where I'm at. I know only the big stuff, you know. He did. I didn't like him, but he shouldn't have resigned. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, eventually at a certain point, you gotta fucking bite the bullet, you know. Hopefully, you guys can get someone that you'll all kind of like a little more. I don't really know. Because I just have a feeling that there was, a lot of different... So, from what I understand about Britain, there's, a bunch of different parties instead of just two. There's, a million of them. And they all have, a good amount of say, and it kind of goes up and down. And a lot of these different parties didn't like him. I'm sick of prime ministers resigning. Yeah, dude. No, it's alright, so here's the American perspective on the rest of the world. Britain is full of politicians that won't stop apologizing. France is full of people who won't stop burning down their own country in rebellion. Germany is full of people who aren't making any money because they're getting taxed into oblivion. That's our opinions of, we don't really think, I don't know, I don't really think about Spain or Italy that much, for real. But that's what I think about, that's what most Americans I know probably think about, the three, European places that I can think of. Italy is fucked. We've got two major ones, but lots of little ones where, okay, I mean, that's kind of like us, except the little ones never get anywhere. You don't even get one seat if you're not one of the two. More money to spend on stupid shit. Mm-hmm. Yep.
The message to the public was clear. It was over. It would not happen again. But not everyone believed that. Almost 20 years passed. In February 1996, a new CIA director appeared before a Senate committee. He was there to discuss threats to U.S. information systems. A senator asked him a direct question. Would the CIA promise to never recruit journalists again? The CIA director could not say yes. Instead, he gave an answer with a loophole.
The policy says that we will not use journalists except under American...
I was going to say Euro in general is, but I think the whole world is, just in different ways. Yeah, it is. I have the idea that Italy is fucked, but we don't even talk about it. True, nobody really talks about it. But I have heard there are some major economic problems there. I think, we just don't talk about Italy. It's like that one song from Encanto. You know, we don't talk about Italy. No. But, I don't know. I feel like it's more, they're going straight up fascist again. Oh, word. Well, I think that I don't really know what's going on over there, so it's hard for me to say if that's, what my opinion on it is, or what I think about it. But I will say that I think we have, in my opinion, alright, as Western nations, we have opened the door too wide and allowed everybody to bear the fruits of our parents' and our grandparents' labor. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but I'm saying that we should just fucking slow down a little bit, because there's people in our countries right now that can't eat and have nowhere to sleep and can't get health care or stuff like that, and we're still inviting people in. And we can't feed our own people. We can't clothe our own people. We don't have enough jobs for our own people. It's hard to get a job. You remember their leader in World War II? His granddaughter is their leader? I should have read that before I went on my rant. Oh my god. They're called the Brothers of Italy. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh, fuck, dude. Oh, that ties in too much in such a bad way. Oh my god. Alright, we're just gonna keep going.
Journalists,
It's
except
wild.
under very, very rare circumstances.
That meant the
shit.
CIA could still recruit
That's
reporters
funny.
to shape the news, as long as they felt it was justified. It's a disturbing reality, especially because the news could be lying to you right now. Our next chapter is about a poison that every single American was breathing and almost no one knew. The ethyl conspiracy. In the 1950s, a scientist made
It'll
a
be
disturbing
fine,
discovery.
though,
The average
I
American
think.
had massive amounts of lead in.
Yeah, it sounds good, but don't care. Every company looks at profit. That is how they see it. They don't care about anything. They just want profit. Nothing else matters. That's why the global economy is a thing. Because in reality, you know, a lot of our countries, we're starting to be on the up and up whenever we were just kind of like doing minor trade, like we were trading with each other, but we weren't getting all our goods from each other, and we weren't like, it was exotic to get an item from Britain, it was exotic to get an item from China, something like that. And you know, now that's just like, you just get your stuff from other places, everything's made somewhere else. And like, there's a lot of harm that happens to an economy whenever it's not based inside of a nation, and whenever a lot of it is, you know, some of it's over there and some of it's over here and some of it's down here and some of it's up there. And it's like, at that point, all of these different fluctuations will change the market that you can't control as a nation, such as the Strait of Hormuz, fucking all that shit, which I'm not going to put my opinion into, but I will say that the money that went into that, the money price, none of us would have had to face the price of that if we all had localized economies that were based on our nation, and then just like our exports and imports that weren't, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it the way I feel, because I'm not an economist and I'm pretty stupid. But I think that if someone was smart and they were listening to me, they would be able to explain it the right way. And it's easier to hire an immigrant and to scam him. Well, that is the truth. Like, that's the thing about it. It's like the different visas that you can get that'll be like, all right, you can come over here and you can get a job, but you have to work for 1/10 the price. And if you quit your job at any point, we're sending you back to your country. And at that point, it's like, well, that's just kind of like an indentured servant. I mean, didn't we stop doing this back in like the 1800s? I mean, come on, guys. God Emperor needs to roll up his battle barge sometime soon, I'm saying. For example, people here bring Indians to work for them and they scam them on every move. Yeah, I mean, and I don't think it's like, I don't know. I don't want to get into whole cultures and race and all that stuff, you know. I think that what it more is when you import too much of one, it's not, all right, here, I will get into it, but in this way. This is how I actually feel about it. If you import one person from another culture into your culture of 10 people, or let's say 100 people, sorry. One person into your culture of 100 people, and you give them time to mix in and to assimilate, they will join the cultural values and they will follow the rules more times than not. The issue is whenever you bring in entire large groups and give them all one place to live, so their culture never changes. They never try to absorb the culture of the country to become more of a patriot and to really like work for the good of their fellow man, because their fellow man is their neighbor, and they still think of them then their neighbors from the country they came from, and they still think of themselves as whatever country they came from, instead of the country they're at and the country they want to live in. You know what I mean? Yeah, it boils down to billionaires just taking advantage of people, and we're too busy fighting each other to notice. Yes, true. And I'm not even gonna read that one out loud, Ogre. But that is how I feel about it. I don't think it's necessarily one, because I know people of every group or whatever that are cool, and people of every group that are pieces of shit. If you allow somebody a chance to assimilate, they will assimilate. But if you don't give them the chance to, then you'll get things like Chinatown in California and New York City and stuff, where it's like a group consolidated to one area and not doing any, not learning anything. Yeah, my neighbor's Indian, but honestly, they're more English than me, yeah. And in the way I act, I mean, yeah, no, exactly. I mean, so it depends on if you, see, the issue is nowadays we are importing everybody from around the world at such a large rate that we're getting microcosms of different cultures inside of our own cultures, and it's disrupting the societies that we expect to live in. That's why I say I don't think it's a bad thing. I just wish we would slow down a little bit, because if we slowed down, we'd allow people time to assimilate. We'd still allow to take care of our own people. Like, I don't know. That's how I feel. Really, I think what I would do if I was in charge is I would put a 10-year pause on all immigration. I would put a 10-year pause. And then start it back up at a slower amount past that point. That's what I would do personally. The only time they're Indian is when England and India play cricket. Sorry, that's a joke they make. Oh my god, yeah. But I mean, like, so it's like, now I don't, and it's not like I would stop immigration from this one place or stop immigration from another place. I would stop it from every single place in the world. I would not allow, sorry Harmony, I wouldn't allow any British people to move to America for 10 years. I wouldn't allow any Canadians to move to America for 10 years. I wouldn't allow any Indian or Japanese person or anybody. Not anybody. My brain goes to a clip and they yell at each other, bloody fuck you, and they crash 2 cars. Oh, dude. Oh, shit, yeah. I don't know. That's my personal beliefs on it. I know we got a little more real there than I like to really get most of the time. I like to keep it a little light, but, I don't mind getting real. Samara, you're breaking the car!
Inside their body.
I don't know what
thought it was normal, but the scientist felt
talking
something far more dangerous was happening. He believed giant corporations were knowingly polluting air with toxic lead. But when he tried warning the public, those billion-dollar companies tried to ruin his life.
Oh,
look at that. In the
look at
1920s.
that. Billion-dollar companies. Wow.
Car companies discovered
Ruining
that
his
adding
life.
lead to gasoline made engines run smoother.
Oh, dog, this is so fucked up. So, I don't know if you guys have heard about this theory, though, but so you know how everybody's dumber? You know how, like, empirically, there's dumber people now than there were back in the day? The theory goes that it's because of this. Because they were literally pumping lead into the air constantly, and lead makes you dumb.
They called
thinking about a different meme, but it makes me laugh. Where you
said
sent the video where
car owners loved it. Selling ethyl was incredibly profitable, but there was a serious problem. Lead was toxic. In fact, lead was so toxic that workers in the leaded gas factories suffered hallucinations. Some even passed away from lead poisoning. Lead particles could spread through the air. Simply breathing too much could make people very sick. But the companies did not want to stop producing leaded gasoline. The business was making far too much money, so they refused to accept that lead was poisoning workers.
They knew that it was harmful. They tried to say that that didn't matter. They tried to blame the workers who got sick in their factories.
There was an even bigger issue. Cars using leaded gasoline released fumes that contained the lead. Those fumes dissolved into the air, and anyone who breathed that air also breathed in tiny amounts of lead. The car companies knew this could scare the public, so they tried to control the narrative. They wanted Americans to believe lead was safe. To do that, they hired scientists
acting like they don't breathe the same air.
These scientists told the public that lead was naturally found inside the human body. They claimed that this proved it was safe. Most Americans believed it, and because of that, millions of people inhaled leaded gasoline fumes every single day without realizing the danger. But one scientist was about to uncover the truth. In the 1950s, Claire Patterson was a geochemist at the California Institute of Technology.
It's crazy how little we knew before the internet existed. You know, it's wild to think about how little people knew before they could just look stuff up on Google. Be like, hey, is inhaling lead bad for you? Like, which also makes me worried because, you know, Google has kind of a information monopoly, and they for sure, I mean, like, this is like the thing, right, that we were talking about earlier. For sure, the government controls what Google says and what they don't say. So, I mean, same with AI. You search something with an AI, you ask it a question, it's going to give you the government-approved response every time. That's why we, as the public, should fund education and not let private companies fund it. Yes. Yeah, my child goes to a private school right now, but that's because all the public... So, the issue is the public schools are horrible. And they're filled with teachers who don't care because they don't get paid. Which would go into your funding it, but it's not like the superintendents don't get paid. It's not like the board above them doesn't get paid. It's just the teachers don't get paid well. Like, everybody else is getting paid but the teachers. That's how it happens at most schools, unless you get to a really good area. If you're rich, your kids, ironically, go to a public school. Because, like, if you're really rich, your kids go to a public school because they're in a good enough area to... They go to private school for, like, elementary, and then the rest is public. You know? Private schools are fine as long as they don't take money from corps. Downside, they're expensive. Yep, my daughter's in a private school right now. Yep. I don't have the money for it. I don't pay for it. Someone else does.
He was trying to calculate the exact age of the Earth by studying ancient rocks, but he kept running into a strange problem. Every sample he tested was contaminated with lead. There was lead in the air, lead in the dust, lead in the rocks, lead everywhere. The contamination was impossible to ignore. Where was all this lead coming from? Then Patterson made another discovery. Americans had 100 times more lead in their blood than ancient humans. Somehow this toxic chemical was almost everywhere in America. Patterson decided to go public. In 1965, he published a scientific paper explaining his findings. He made one thing very clear. Lead was dangerous to humans, and they needed to do everything to reduce lead contamination.
We've known about this. The ancient Romans found out about this whenever they were fucking drinking themselves crazy, and then they were like, why do we keep going in crazy? And then they're like, incest, and they're like, yeah, but besides that, why else? And they're like, I don't know, maybe lead?
The companies making billions from lead didn't like that. He was ruining their business. So they went after Patterson personally. First, they tried to destroy his career.
Eventually, a VP of an oil company who's a trustee at Caltech calls the president and asks for him to be fired.
Patterson's research funding...
Wild that people used to wear lead on their face, dude. People used to... The ancient Romans used to literally coat the inside of their pottery. The fancy ones would. They would coat the inside of their cups and stuff with lead. And that's what they would drink their wine out of. Their wine jugs would be coated with lead and stuff like that. We learned that from mistake, though. So, actually, people are getting smarter, but now if the internet and the stupid ones are louder. At least I hope so. Oh, dude, no. The empirical evidence is that there's far less smart people than there are stupid people. The evidence suggests that the kids are not okay. The kids are getting dumber. Their test scores are going down. They're not as smart. And the ones that test scores are going up are showing up for AI usage on their tests. So, you know, I don't know. I fear for the future, but I hope that it's just like a little hump we can get over, you know? Maybe it was COVID that really fucked up these kids' development, you know? Because right now, all this data is coming from a bunch of kids who got fucked up by COVID. And, like, I don't know. That would probably mess up the way I did school and stuff and thought about school afterwards. So, I'm hoping this is just the COVID hump and we go back to getting smarter. But no, the kids are getting dumber, for real.
was cut off. He was blocked from government meetings where environmental decisions were made. Patterson was smeared in the media. They painted him as a conspiracy theorist spreading science fiction. At the same time, the companies hired scientists to travel around the country claiming lead was harmless. For a while, it seemed that they won, but they still wanted Patterson on their side. So the lead industry offered him research funding if he stopped criticizing them. It was basically a bribe, but Patterson refused to back down. He kept collecting evidence, he kept speaking out, and eventually Patterson got his moment. In 1966, Patterson testified before the US Senate. He arrived with overwhelming evidence. He showed the Senate the data from ancient ice cores. He explained how the ice from thousands of years ago was completely clean, while modern snow was 200% more toxic. He explained how lead damaged the human brain and nervous system, and how it caused learning disabilities in children and violent behavior in adults. Again.
And again. What do we see a lot of today? Violent behavior all over the place, and a outbreak of learning disabilities that weren't at least as prevalent back in the day. They didn't get diagnosed because there were so few of them, or they were so mild cases. And now everybody's got one. Everybody's fucking got one. I mean, I'm not saying it's because of the lead that was pumped into the air, but I am saying that it probably did not help.
And again, Patterson proved that lead pollution was man-made, and it was poisoning everyone from factory workers to school kids. His conclusion was clear. The amount of lead in the air skyrocketed after leaded gasoline was introduced. This time, the government listened. They began restricting leaded gasoline. By 1996, the use of leaded gasoline for vehicles was banned in the US, and the results were impossible to ignore.
We learned to name things, but I don't know, there were certain things that were either like they were just not as prevalent, and when they did happen, like there were sure extreme cases of these like different learning disabilities back in the day, for sure. And there were probably many minor cases, but they were so minor that they didn't even feel they needed a name for it. They were just people just being people. What I'm saying, what my conspiracy theory is that lead took those things that would have been a just minor setback in a person's life, and it amplified it. It gave it a power buff, It was like ×3 power on this belt that you're wearing now for this whatever debuff you have.
After the ban, lead levels in Americans' blood dropped by 78%. The companies profiting from leaded gasoline knew the dangers from the beginning, but they chose profits over public safety. And one man fought a billion-dollar industry to save the health of a nation. So the next time you go to a gas station and see the word unleaded, now you know why. My friends, the most dangerous thing you can do is trust blindly. Always do your own research and think critically about what you see and hear, and never stop seeking the truth.
That was a really good video. I liked that a lot. Craziest conspiracy theories that turned out true by Visual Venture.